One of the major themes of Naruto is the idea that hatred is cyclical. The series explores how hatred and revenge perpetuate conflict across generations, and throughout the story, various characters offer their own thoughts and ideas on how such a cycle can finally be broken. Villains like Pain and Obito offer different, violent solutions, while Naruto embodies the belief that empathy, understanding, and forgiveness are key to achieving lasting peace. Ultimately, Naruto's journey highlights the potential of breaking the cycle by choosing a path of hope and reconciliation. The world of Naruto is marred by war. Naruto lives in a Hidden Leaf village, which is essentially a stratocratic military state that's governed by a nepotistic shinobi oligarchy, where the economy revolves around the warrior class selling their services to whoever pays the most money. A world in which the conflicts between various villages are as old as their bloodstained history. A world where even 12-year-olds fight and die in wars caused by the actions of their ancestors. The world is bleak and the systems they live under incredibly flawed. And yet, life is still better now than during the earlier, bloodier, warring states period. I wasn't surprised that the story of Naruto ended in one colossal war. The idea of the ghosts of the world's past coming back to haunt them in the form of their deceased, as a seemingly ancient enemy returns to force his own ideals of peace onto the world, is a great one. Them being tools without will or control of their own, mirroring how the ninja world has treated its own people for generations. Victims of a conflict that they are not directly related to and have no say in. I like the idea that the villagers are willing to put aside generations of hostility between themselves against a common, more destructive foe. It doesn't wash away the atrocities committed against each other, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. The world having to unite and come to terms with their own flaws for a shot at a better future is a great ending to the series thematically. The problem is that this idea doesn't work narratively. The Fourth Great Ninja War was doomed from the start. The biggest reason why it failed is because the world that Kishimoto built was simply not suited for this kind of conflict. In Naruto, only 2 villages really matter, and I'm being generous with the sand village here. In order for a large-scale conflict like the Ninja War to work, you need all the important places to be fleshed out. That way your audience is invested. But this didn't happen. So when the Ninja War began, we didn't give a crap about most of the villages. Them being in danger didn't matter to us, and it became very easy to disconnect from the narrative. The same issue can also be applied to characters. With few exceptions, Shippuden tended to focus on the main characters, and didn't spend as much time with many of the side characters who fought. This is important because during the Ninja War, time is taken away from Naruto to focus on the fights of side characters, which are dull precisely because we don't really care. Think about characters like Darui and Choji. One of these characters never got any focus, and the other one hadn't in a number of years. We weren't emotionally invested in them, which made their fights uninteresting. Kishimoto realized this, which is why he utilized flashbacks for many of these side characters. But ultimately, only the characters that the readers had grown emotionally attached to really mattered in the end, which is why their fights tended to be the stronger ones. And as a side note, the overuse of the reanimation jutsu was a poor decision. Using it again and again took away from what made the jutsu great in the first place. In part 1, it was a forbidden jutsu that raised the dead, and the fact that it was a rogue ninja like Orochimaru using it added to its dark and creamy atmosphere. But using it so much here made it feel like any other jutsu. I also think that the jutsu kind of takes away from important moments in the story, and bringing people back to life here kind of undermines their deaths. Certain characters were arguably worth it, like say Itachi, but the vast majority of them were not. And I'm obviously speaking in hindsight here, but what Kishimoto really needed for this kind of story was for various characters from other villages to be introduced at different points in the narrative. Maybe you have the Raikage attend the Chunin exams with Darui as a guard and have B students taking the test. That way you meet 5 characters who are all important down the line for the war. Have them interact with the main cast, give them fights, etc. You'd also be able to begin developing the dynamic between the leaf and the cloud as far as politics go. Or maybe Naruto meets a team from another village while in the land of waves. Or during the search for Tsunade. Or on another mission. You should be able to get a gist of village dynamics from these interactions. Using this kind of formula, you ensure that you don't reach the Kage-Same arc, where more than 10 characters are being introduced for the first time. Fans know many of them, and can now learn more about them during the war. You solve the issue of many readers not caring about them, and the world ends up being better developed so that certain moments, like Gaara's speech, end up carrying far more weight. It's nice to hear characters talk about the long history of hatred in the ninja world, and the old wounds between different villages, but when you haven't shown us that beforehand, it rings hollow. Another part of the problem is that the story had long since established that only individual superpowered people mattered. Power creep rendered most ordinary ninjas and even earlier important characters insignificant, and really only about 10 people are truly capable of making a difference. But ultimately, the biggest reason Naruto's war arc failed is because the scope of the story Kishimoto designed couldn't support such a huge change in the setting. He tried to add characters and villages to make the final battle feel bigger, but Naruto is at its best when its conflicts are kept small and personal. But that's all for now. If you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out, and I'll see you guys next time.